One of the easiest ways to waste money in Google Ads is paying for clicks from people who were never actually going to become customers. Maybe they're outside of your service area, maybe they're searching for a service that is related to yours that you don't actually offer, or maybe they're looking for a competitor. And what makes this really frustrating is that on the surface, in your Google Ads account, things can look like they're working. You're getting impressions, you're getting clicks, maybe even a few calls. But if those leads are coming from the wrong people or the wrong places, then your budget starts to disappear really quickly and you don't really have any new clients to show for it. So in this video, I want to walk you through the Google Ads strategies that actually help you attract local leads from the right areas. So it's not just trying to get more traffic, you're trying to get better local traffic from people who will actually become customers. The first thing I look at in any local campaign is the location targeting, because this is where a lot of wasted spend quietly starts. So most businesses assume that once you have added in your service area, then that part is handled. But there is a hidden setting kind of inside of Google Ads that lets Google show your ads to a lot of people that aren't even in your region. And so this is called the location option. So most service businesses, you want to target people based on presence and not presence or interest. And that difference matters way more than it sounds like it should. But with presence or interest, Google can show your ads to people who aren't actually in your service area, but have shown some kind of interest in it. So maybe they've searched your city name or were planning a trip there, but they are not local people. And for a local service business, that's a real problem. So if you're a dentist, a plumber, a roofer, or an auto shop, you don't need clicks from people who are interested in your area or interested in looking at your area. You need clicks from people who are actually there, who live there or work there. So it is a small setting, but it can make a huge difference. So if you're getting calls from people outside of your service area, this is the first thing that I would check. And while you're in there, it is also worth thinking about how you're targeting your area. City targeting works fine for most businesses, but you can go even more granular with it and target by zip code or postal code, and really think about how far people are willing to drive for your service. So this point is simple. Before worrying about anything more advanced, make sure that Google is only reaching the people that are actually in your area or frequently in your area. If that part's off, everything else gets a lot harder to trust. Once your location targeting is sorted, the next thing to clean up is your keywords, because a lot of local campaigns don't really have a traffic problem, they have an intent problem. So they're showing up for searches that are kind of related to your service, but not local enough, not specific enough, or not high intent enough to actually turn those leads into customers. So think like your customer. How would someone search if they actually needed your service right now in your area? Usually it's something like your service plus city, or service plus neighborhood, or near me. So like dentist near me, auto repair shop Burlington, emergency furnace repair Schomburg. If you're in a bigger city, neighborhood level keywords can work really well because that's how people actually search too. So that kind of keyword structure gives you a much better shot at showing up for people who are nearby and ready to book your service. And match type for your keywords matters a lot here too. Broad match isn't always wrong, but for local businesses, especially in accounts that aren't being closely watched, it can burn through budget on searches that are technically related, but not really what you want. So if your search terms look messy or your lead quality feels weak, broad match is one of the first things that I would look at and either upgrade that to phrase or exact match. Then there's your negative keywords, and this one is really big. Negative keywords are how you tell Google who you don't want to be seeing your ad. So things like DIY, how to, jobs, free, reviews. They might look relevant at first glance, but they're almost always coming from people who are in research mode, looking for work, or just not ready to hire anybody just yet. So leave that stuff unchecked and Google will keep spending your money on it. So make sure you're going through your search terms regularly and excluding any terms that don't align with your services and that don't show high intent. So what you're really going for is search terms that signal local buying intent, so local wording, sensible match types, and a negative keyword list that filters out the bad search terms. The next thing that I would check in your campaign settings is whether the display network and the search partners network are switched on. A lot of people miss these and they can make a campaign look a lot healthier than it really is. So it generally shows that you're getting a lot more impressions and more clicks and more activity overall, which on paper seems like a good idea, but more activity doesn't necessarily mean better leads. More often than not, the display network and the search partners network just bring in lower quality traffic and make it harder to see what your actual search campaign is doing. So for most local lead gen campaigns, I recommend turning both of those settings off. And so that gives you a cleaner signal and that you can actually see which keywords are bringing in leads and whether the campaign itself is working without all that extra noise layered in. Sometimes the campaign looks busy, but the cost per lead is too high or the quality just isn't there, and these extra placements are part of the reason why. Now, display isn't always bad. If your search campaign is already working and you want to run a separate remarketing campaign to people who have already visited your site, display is a really good idea for that, but it's an intentional strategy, not just leaving a default setting on and hoping that it helps. So if your goal is clean, qualified, local search traffic, keep the campaign really focused because more reach does not always mean better. And the next step is your Google Business Profile. You want to make sure that you have connected your Google Business Profile with your ads account. And what this will do is it will make your ads eligible to show in the map pack on search as a sponsored listing, as well as on Google Maps. But it also does a lot more than that. So when you connect your Google Business Profile to your ads account, Google then pulls your information directly from your profile into the ad. So things like your address, your phone number, your hours, all of a sudden your ad looks and feels like a real nearby listing rather than just a headline and a couple lines of text. For local services, that matters a lot. People are usually making a pretty quick decision. They want somebody close by, someone legitimate with good reviews, and someone they can contact without a lot of friction. And so your Google Business Profile helps tick all of those boxes even before they click. So while you're thinking about this, make sure that you've also got your call asset set up. And so for a lot of local businesses, especially on mobile devices, a phone call is the fastest path to lead. And some people don't want to click through a landing page and read through everything before contacting you. And then a couple other settings that you can also do to help. You can set your call asset on a schedule so that it is only showing during the hours when you can actually answer the phone. So there's no point in paying for calls that go on unanswered on weekends or after hours. And if you can, use a local area code. It's a small detail, but a local number tends to feel more familiar and more trustworthy than a 1-800 number. The goal here is to make your ad easier to trust and easier to act on. If someone nearby is ready to reach out, your ad should make that as easy as possible. And the next thing I would suggest looking at is your ad schedule. So by default, Google will run your ads 24/7. But for most local service businesses, not every hour of the day is equally valuable. So once your campaign has been running for a while, it's worth checking the performance by day of week and the hour of day. And so what you're looking for is, are there certain times that get clicks but rarely turn into calls or form submissions? Times where leads tend to be lower quality, or windows where nobody's around to answer the phone anyway. Because if that's the case, that budget could probably be working harder somewhere else. You can put your ad on a schedule so that it turns off when you're not open or not able to answer your phone. And the pattern varies a lot depending on the business. So home service businesses often see strong performance on weekends when people are actually home dealing with problems, whereas more B2B focused local services might do better during weekday business hours. So it all depends on your niche. But one thing I would say is don't rush this. Don't look at 3 days worth of data and start cutting time slots across the board. Give it enough time to see actual patterns start and then act on what the data is clearly showing you. But once those patterns do start to emerge, ad scheduling is a really effective way to tighten everything up, because good local targeting isn't just about where your ads show, it's also about when. Another thing you can do to tighten up the campaign after it's been running for a while is to look at the performance in different locations. So Google Ads lets you break down the impressions, the clicks, the conversions by cities, neighborhoods, zip codes, postal codes, depending on how you have it set up. And this can be really useful because not every part of your service area performs the same way. So a lot of businesses treat their whole service area like one big block, but usually Some areas bring in better leads and some convert more consistently, and some just spend money without giving you any leads back. So once you have enough data, start digging into that location report and asking some simple questions like which areas are spending money but not generating many leads, which ones have a higher cost per lead than the rest, and which areas are consistently underperforming. So if a location is eating up your ad spend without converting, that could be a clear signal to pull back or remove it altogether. And if certain cities or neighborhoods are clearly doing well, that's where you kind of want to push more budget towards those areas. And so this is one of the simplest ways to make a local campaign more efficient over time. You stop treating every area like it deserves equal attention and start pushing more of your budget towards parts of your market that are actually working really well. So with these locations, you can change your bids in certain areas. This is where local optimization gets a bit more advanced. Once you know certain areas are outperforming others, you can increase or decrease your bids based on that data. You can bid more aggressively in areas that are bringing in good leads with a good cost per acquisition, and you can pull back or remove on the areas that just aren't delivering. But there is an important note here. This really depends on what bidding strategy you're using. So if you're using manual bidding, location bid adjustments can be a really good, useful lever to help advance your campaigns. But if you're using a smart bidding strategy like maximize clicks or maximize conversions, Google is already making a lot of these decisions automatically. So if you were to set a manual bid adjustment, the smart bidding is just going to override it anyways. But the point isn't just to adjust everything just because you can, it's to look at the data and understand whether it is actually a meaningful change to make in the campaign. So if you are on manual bidding with clean location data, it can be a very smart next step. But if you are on smart bidding, just be aware that Google is already doing a lot of that work in the background. And really what it all comes down to is just getting your ads in front of the right people in the right places for the right searches. And once that's all dialed in, the next step is making the ad itself work even harder. Even with solid targeting, you can still lose leads even if your ad isn't giving people enough reason to trust you or get in touch. So if you want to see which Google Ads extensions can help get you more calls and better quality leads, click right here and watch this video next, and I'll see you over there.